Tracy E. Gilchrist, and this is Equal Entertainment. It might be the one type of story missing from the summer blockbuster season. The new raunchy queer high school comedy Bottoms is now in theaters. It's like American Pie, but queer and centering women. The movie stars Ayo Edebiri and Rachel Sennett as two queer teens on a secret mission. And we must note these interviews were completed before the Hollywood strikes.
You're missing the point. I don't really think I am. We don't know how to fight.
You guys probably fought girls in juvie.
No, we were lying about that, obviously.
About juvie?
Yeah, I mean,
Why
what?
would you lie to me?
You were the one who said we went to juvie. I just didn't correct you.
Bottoms is a story of two queer girls in high school who are pretty much losers. Friends, Josie and PJ, who decide to start a fight club in order to have sex with hot girls in high school.
And basically, like, a rumor starts that they went to juvie, and they kind of use that rumor to their advantage, and they start this fight club to try to get cheerleaders to fall in love with them.
I had never read anything like it, and it's also a film that I wish I had been able to watch growing up, something that I wish had been accessible to me. The humor is so camp and so ridiculous that I love. And I was like, wow, they are getting away with some shit. I want to be a part of this. Like, that's how I felt when I was first reading it.
Oh my God!
I got sent the script and was reading it in a coffee shop and couldn't stop laughing. It was one of the first scripts that I read over and over and over again, and every single time I found something new and funny and entertaining. And honestly, up until shooting the scene, I couldn't stop laughing, and it's just it's so inventive and creative and funny and absurd, but also so real, and has so many elements of like high school culture that's sort of underneath the surface. So I fell in love with the script.
It's like Emma, who has done like Shiva Baby, like this very like queer, sort of like internal, cool queer comedy, like taking that voice and mixing it with the movies that we grew up loving. It's kind of like funny, weird, raunchy teen comedies, stuff like Scott Pilgrim, different kind of like iconic queer movies that might not have been really like recognized at the time, but are kind of like cult classics, like But I'm a Cheerleader, and sort of just like mixing all of those things together and making this beautiful little freak show. Yeah. I think that it shines a mirror, or shines a light on some sort of aspects of those films that we grew up with that are really problematic and really don't age well today, while also allowing you to sort of laugh at yourself through the process of laughing at the jokes in this film. And I also think that it's queered. It's really queered in the best way.
Rachel and Ayo are two of the funniest people I've ever met in my entire life.
I don't know, I just like love working with Rachel. We've worked together a lot throughout the years, like just stand-up and sketches and like just writing beside each other. She's like one of my favorite people in the world.
Just kind of came up in comedy together, doing stand-up.
And I feel like because we know each other and have that friendship and have worked together, like improvising with her and working with her is like really fun. Like,
but so just, I feel like we have such a natural rhythm and we have a real friendship, which is so nice to like build on in this movie.
The cast is also like seeing us just like kind of be on the same wavelength and like finish each other's sentences, and we don't even know where we're going. But like, I don't know, with both Rachel and Emma, I feel like there's just like a trust, so we just kind of like we'll let each other like fall down rabbit holes and just like trust that we'll get to the place that the scene needs to go.
And it's like no one's ever trying to like hijack the scene, or like you just kind of trust like she'll try something, now I'll try something, and like, oh, she's doing this, I can like follow her and we'll go down this road. So that has just been really special and fun.
Honestly, what I was focusing on most of the time they were improvising is like, just do not laugh.
A lot of people think comedy is easier in a lot of ways than drama, but to be honest with you, they bring a level of authenticity and realness and humanity to sort of ridiculous and absurd circumstances, and to do that, and then on top of that to like land jokes.
I learned a lot about comedy from them, and it was really fun to improv with them, and they're so quick, and you feel like you're just sprinting to keep up with them, but that was, I think, the fun.
Oh my God!
Emma Seligman directed, co-wrote, and executive produced Bottoms. The queer writer-director of Shiva Baby and I talked about the origins of the title of Bottoms and how queer women in movies deserve to just exist as they are.
Well, one of the things that is remarkable about Bottoms is the queer characters who just are queer. They just get to exist as queer people, and there's no kind of trauma or anything around that, except for the fact that they are desperate to get laid, basically.
That's the trauma. Yeah, that they're virgins.
Yes, yeah. So would you talk a little bit about that's, kind of important to be able to see that, because for so long queer storytelling is only about, this kind of hyper emotional problem to overcome.
Yeah, I'm like just so tired of seeing queer stories where queerness is the plot, and not just part of the character.
Yeah.
I don't ever, see queerness getting in the way. Not, of course it gets in the way, but I don't see it getting in the way of the plot of my life. You know what I mean? It's just part of who I am, and same things for my friends' lives. So I think that I just think we deserve like movies where that's just part of the deal. Like that's just who we are, and those are just who the characters are, and then they get to do everything else that straight characters are allowed to do in movies, like go about trying to have a sex life or a love life, or trying to save the day, or trying to rob a bank, or whatever it is, and just having it detached from that idea that like it needs to be part of the plot, I guess.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, thank you for that. And would you talk a little bit about the title, because it's a double entendre. They're at the bottom of the food chain, and of course, bottoms being a sexual reference. So I would love to hear how you came up with that.
Yeah, it's what you said. They're losers and they're gay. I hate coming up with titles. I find it so frustrating. And this was called Untitled Gay High School Comedy for 3 years maybe while we were writing it. And then we just one day we're like, all right, we got to give a title to this thing, because it's like, we're going to start sending it out to people, and we can't just have this long title. Yeah, and we just sort of came up with a list, and we eventually figured it out. And the same thing kind of happened with Shiva Baby. Like I just didn't know what it was going to be called for so long. And you figure it out eventually. That's sort of it. It is always funny trying to explain it to like border officers, because I'm Canadian, so I'm here on an artist visa. So they're always like, what do you do? I'm like, I'm a director. And they're like, what movies have you made? And then I'm making this movie called Bottoms. And they're like pants, and I'm like, no, like they're gay and they're losers. And they're like, it's always fun to see the reaction as they're waiting to decide if they're going to let me into the country.
And then they think that you're directing porn or something.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, no, I promise you, it's a lucrative job. I am bringing money to your country.
Would you talk a little bit about highlighting women's friendships, and especially queer women's friendships?
Yeah, I think that the main thing that, we kept thinking about was, not wanting to make this an unrealistically like overly supportive female friendship. Like, I think that like the fact that they're queer, the fact that they're best friends, and the fact that they're going on in this insane adventure together already feels strong enough as a story, and strong enough sort of for a story about female friendship and female characters, that we didn't want to like think too hard about like how special can this friendship be. And
you can watch The Advocate channel live by downloading our app in the Apple or Google Play Store. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel. For The Advocate channel, I'm Tracy E. Gilchrist, and thank you for watching.